Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about a possibility that might happen in the very last season, about a theory that show already might have given us a few hints about a possibility of Daenerys becoming the new Night's Queen. Before I jump into those kind of proofs that are supporting this theory, I'm going to tell you a few sentences about the Night's Queen so you could have an insight of what Dany might become. The Night's Queen is an unseen woman in Game of Thrones, a legendary figure known in the Seven Kingdoms and among the Free Folk. According to a legend, a Lord Commander of the Night's Watch found in a haunted forest a cold woman with bright blue eyes. He took her to the other side of the wall and declared himself as the Night's King. Their love and reign lasted for 13 years, whereupon the Free Folk rallied under the banner of a king beyond the wall and marched against the Night's King's seat, against the Night Fort, which resulted with Night's King defeat with the aid of House Stark. Now that you know a little bit about the Night's Queen, let's start with a theory in which Daenerys will become this same queen. For past 6 years, we could predict what would happen in every season, with a few surprises of course. For an example, we knew that Dany's dragons would be born, that Tyrion is going to kill his father, and we knew that Jon is going to be killed as well, informations which we mostly gathered from George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series of epic fantasy novels. In all of these years, we could predict a few things that will happen in the next episode or in the next season, but we can tell the same for season 7, not to mention for the last 8 seasons, in which this theory that I'm bringing you today would take place. Game of Thrones is known for its unpredictability, and we are at the point on the show in which big amount of major plots have already been revealed, and while we might have our opinions what is going to happen based on either our experience with Game of Thrones series or on leaks that have been leaked through the last 5 months, we might be totally wrong. For example, we can tell for sure that Cersei and Euron will become allies, and that we are going to see a meeting between Ice and Fire, between Jon Snow and Daenerys in the first few episodes of season 7, but while big amount of fans would predict Daenerys' conquest over the Seven Kingdoms and over the Iron Throne on which she would sit, since she has the strongest army the world has seen since the fall of Valyria, which makes her goal of conquering the Seven Kingdoms quite easier, I'm not of the same opinion. In my opinion, Daenerys, despite of her 3 large dragons and the biggest army that she has, I don't think that she is going to be a new Aegon the Conqueror. I don't think that she will ever sit on the Iron Throne. If we have learned anything from Game of Thrones series in all of these years, and the only thing that we can doubtlessly expect from the upcoming seasons, is the wow factor that Game of Thrones is known for its unpredictability. While you might expect that Daenerys is going to conquer the Seven Kingdoms, defeat Cersei and sit on the Iron Throne, I'm predicting only Dany's defeat over Cersei while she won't sit on the Iron Throne. Additionally, while you think that Daenerys will be a queen and rule over the Seven Kingdoms, I'm predicting Daenerys being queen as well, but being the Night's Queen. Earlier in Game of Thrones, we've learned that the leader of the White Walkers, aka the Night King, is able to create other White Walker, but it seems that he only can create one if that human being is a pure-blooded or incest-born. As some kind of proof, we have a few scenes in which Craster had been sacrificing his incest-born babies, including a scene from 4th season in which Ross places Craster's final son on the ground in the haunted forest, whereupon the White Walkers approached and took the baby, carried it towards Shattered Mountain in the lands of Always Winter. Once the White Walker approached an icy altar ringed by large icy spikes, he placed the baby upon the altar, whereupon the leader of the White Walkers approached, gently gathered the baby in his arms and placed his index finger upon the baby's cheek, which caused the child's eye to turn icy blue and its skin to grow pale. This scene from the 4th episode of season 4, in my opinion, confirmed my statement that only incest-born, pure-blooded human beings can become a White Walker, while every other human beings can only become a White, a reanimated corpse raised from the dead by the White Walkers to act as their minions. All of this means that the Night's King could turn Daenerys into one of them, since Dany is pure-blooded, incest-born daughter of King Aerys and Queen Rhaella Targaryen. The greatest war, the all important war, is not coming anymore. It's here, just like winter that had been coming since the very first season. The winter is here now, and the only way to end the long night is to either defeat them, which would be insanely hard, a way that the living side is definitely going to experience, way which will take a huge amount of casualties, the way which will only make the undead army bigger, since all brave soldiers that are going to fall on the battlefield against the undead army will be revived as a Whites. In my opinion, the only way that the living side will have at that point will be a pact, an agreement with the leader of the undead army, and that same pact, by this theory, would be a pact of ice and fire, an agreement that includes Daenerys. I was wondering, why is the Night King even coming south? Why is he preparing an army? Same army with which he is going to march south at a moment of Daenerys' arrival in the upcoming season. I was wondering about that fact since the last season ended and came to the conclusion that Daenerys' arrival at Westeros is the reason of the Night King's preparations and will be the reason of his march, will be the reason of every single death that the Seven Kingdoms is going to confront with. This theory in which the Night King is coming south for the Night's Queen might have been hinted earlier in the Game of Thrones series. I'm talking about Dany's illusions that she had in the House of Undying, those same illusions that might have foreshadowed this theory. In a series of illusions, of some kind of visions that she was greeted with, the first room Daenerys entered after chasing the cry of her dragons into the House of the Undying was the Great Hall of the Red Keep, which was covered by snow, including the Iron Throne, whereupon she got so close to the throne, but decided to leave it untouched and went beyond the wall, where she found herself in another illusion, in which she emerged from the wall in a snowy storm, whereupon she entered the tent and met with Drogo and their son, Rhaego, whereupon she became aware of the illusion and left. The first part of illusion in which Dany entered the Great Hall of the Red Keep, which was covered by snow, I would say foreshadows something that I said in one of my previous videos, predicts that Daenerys will end Cersei's reign, will defeat two biggest villains, and will avenge her family. While she will win the Iron Throne, she won't be able to sit on same, since the winter will come, along with the White Walkers and their White Horde, whereupon Daenerys will decide to march with her dragons and armies north, to join forces with Jon Snow, to give a living side hope that her 3 dragons might end the long night. Surely, there will be more than a few epic battles between the living and the dead in the final season, which I guarantee, prediction which I can't tell for sure, considering that the last season will have the biggest budget of any season, budget that will be spent for only 6 episodes, which will provide an epic battles along with a lot of dragon actions. Those battles between the living side and the White Walkers, accompanied with their White Horde, will take a lot of casualties for both sides, but every casualty of the undead army will be replaced with a casualty of the living side, since all brave soldiers that are going to sacrifice their life on the battlefield in order to stop the Night King and his army will be raised from the dead and will increase the numbers of the undead army, will decrease chances for living side to win the greatest war. Upon a huge amount of casualties, and upon realizing that their chances to survive the long night are small, if there will be any, the living side will decide to stop fighting and will try to establish peace, will try to arrange a pact with the leader of the White Walkers. Now we're coming to a pact that I mentioned earlier in this video, a pact between the living side and the Night King, an agreement which Daenerys will accept to end the long night, a pact in which she will become the Night's Queen, an agreement which will save the Westeros, sacrifice which Daenerys as a true queen will accept to save her people's lives. Daenerys' illusions are foreshadowing that Dany will win the Iron Throne, but will realize that she won't be able to sit on the same, since she will have to give up on it, since she will give up her throne for the greater good. She will accept a pact with the Night King in order to end the long night. Daenerys will become a Night's Queen, whereupon the Night King and the Night's Queen will go beyond the wall and rule over it as a form of peace agreement between the living and the dead. Beside Daenerys' vision, as I've already said earlier in this video, Dany's arrival at Westeros and the Night King's preparations and his march to the south fits perfectly in timeline. And I don't think it's coincidence that all of those years the Night King was preparing and gathering a huge army with which he's going to march south at the same time of Dany's arrival at Westeros. Not only that this theory would be one of the greatest surprises that showrunners could pull out, but it would also fit perfectly with the bittersweet ending that George Martin announced. In conclusion, I can't tell for sure that this theory will definitely come true, and that I've just figured out the ending, but in my opinion, if the Night King is really marching south because of Daenerys, nothing will be able to stop him and his large army, nothing but an agreement, which Dany would most certainly accept in order to stop the long night to save the Westeros from a certain annihilation. Let me know your opinion on this theory. Let me know what your thoughts are about the Night King's intentions and goals, along with your opinion about Dany's illusions or visions. I'm curious what you guys think about all of this.